Even when you look at parliament, we have people who are 844. If you look at the courts of Kenya, those lawyers who were arguing there, they were 844. Can you see the difference between them and the old school? No. The knowledge they acquired is 844 are substantive and has driven this country to this level where we are. The competence base also will drive this country to where we are, the anticipation of what they think. So we cannot say the 844 was wrong. Because in the 844, we got some carpenters, we got some measuring from there, and they're working. The mechanics are there working. The technicians are there working. Right. So the lawyers are there working. The teachers of 844 are there working. So we cannot criticize them for all. So don't tell people you are going to heaven while we are still remain the planet. We are only saying that we are bettering the system to be complacent to what is going, the dynamics of this country. So I am agreeing with you that 844 was not a failure. Only that the time had come that we have to change. Even you change your old clothes at home. Very true. Because if you grow bigger, you have changed your clothes, my brother. Does not mean that if you change your shoes, it means that the shoes you were having 2 years was better, was a bad one. It was the test of that time, at that moment.
Very true.
Yes.
Right. And speaking about that test, Mwalimu, that you're talking about 844,
yeah,
it has been largely be blamed to have caused some of the different problems that we are facing as a country here, particularly talking about employment. The rate of unemployment currently is so huge, and this is, you know, it gets back with the system of education that we had, and that's why I'm asking, do you feel like the new curriculum that we are having currently will solve some of these problems that have been mentioned here?
I can't say that because we have not reached 2029, 2030. So from the vision, from 2030, 2031, 35, we shall be able to see the evaluation and see the end product and see the results that has come out for the system. But what we are saying in other countries that have changed, if you are having an employment problem, it will be carried to an employment problem. Unless we have issues, we have to address the issue of unemployment seriously as Kenyans. In countries like Germany, remember when they realized there was a problem of employment in the VC, they came up with restriction of giving birth. They said you must have 2 children. If you have 2 children, the government will employ for you. The government will train them for you. They educate them for you. If you have the 3rd one, you take care of it. If you have a disabled child, those are the practices they were having. But in Kenya, you know, people are giving birth. Birth has been given a right, as written the Bible and the Quran. Yes, we also come with maternal health care. So we are encouraging people to give birth. And we say the population today of the youth is 70%. So in the 2031, it might be even 90% of the living are the youth. So when we're talking about employment, we must address what we call employment problem. We must have legislative, we must have policies that we're going to cushion the youth. We should not keep them that by 2030 there will be employment.
So Mwalimu, you want to tell me this is a fallacy that CBC will solve that?
It's addressing, but you see, I have told you that the end product is in 2030. That's when we shall know. But by that time, 9 years today, can we solve the issues of unemployment per se? So then we must adapt best labor practices. Like you see, those people are going abroad, we must think that Kenya is now a global village, right, where we're talking about digital compliance, where we are going to upgrade those areas that they cannot get the Wi-Fi, they cannot get the internet. We must see that those who are going outside, going to Tanzania for employment, we must protect them. Look at Tanzania. Right. If a Tanzanian comes to Kenya, he's going to work in Kenya, and they will have no issue with it. Kenya has made them better. We want to see that, can Kenya work in Tanzania, work in Uganda, work in Rwanda, work in Sudan without an issue? Then we must enlarge. We're talking about ambassadors and high commissions. We must put labor attaches. We must put people there who are seeing, they see opportunity and open those opportunities for Kenyans. Right. So an employment, we cannot depend on education per se. So when we talk about education, employment, we should not put it together with education. Let people get education, let them get the skill, let them develop their talents. Then we see how they are going to use their talent as a vehicle to help us in reducing unemployment in this country. Right. But we can't say Kenyans, you know, when you get competence based, that's the end of unemployment in this country. And yet people are giving back and yet companies are closing unless we are not expanding a lot. So when we come, at a point in time when they come back here, you know we shall discuss labor as a topic. What are the best practices to Kenya, to help Kenyans, like the Philippine model? In Philippine model, they have a model for employment, where they know that if you go to work in Kenya, they will be seeing you through Visasa and see you that you are doing well there. So those ones we cannot. So at the moment, let's say, what is CPC? What are the challenges that we are facing in CPC? How do we solve these issues? Then how do we move on? And then let's get the end product and then see how Kenya will move after that.
Very true. Right. Mwalimu,
yes.
Listening to you,
yeah.
Are you confident enough with this CBC thing?
As a teacher, yes. A teacher, his work is to teach. If the learners are in a class and we have given a chalk and we have given a textbook and we have given a desk, we shall teach them. Our work is not to look at the market. There are people who their work is to deal with the market product. Ours is, have they finished level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, up to level 14? Then people will look at the market and tell us the market, the product we have given out. So you cannot tell a teacher today to say, are you sure or what? Our work is teaching is going on. And we are now in level 5. The next year they will be level 6. And we do away with them 2023, they will move to secondary. Secondary, people will do their level. Then they go to colleges and tertiary institutions, then they go to university. Then we see the cake out of that and compare them with you.
Let's talk about the timing now, the timing at which we are having this kind of conversations around the CBC and the enrollment of it itself. Do you feel the timing was good enough, Mwalimu?
The timing is good enough because we are now in level 5. Remember, we had started grade PP1, PP2. People are silent. You see, people are now reacting to the pinches they are getting from the shoe. Because from that time we were making a lot. Some people are not getting as correct. We are saying this one, not supposed, because in education, when you are trying to do this, what you call a plan. Number one, you must do assessment. The need assessment. Then you do, after need assessment, do SWOT analysis. Then look at the strength and the weakness of this. Right. Then from there, you plan. Then you plan. Then you plan. After planning, then you do what you call piloting. From the pilot, you do monitoring and evaluation. Then you come with call review. What we are now doing is what we are supposed to do in PP1, where we are doing a review. That's how we have moved it from PP1, PP2. We are now in grade 1. So people are supposed to do it there. Now, this is where Mago was saying the train has left. Then if you left the train and you leave people outside, it does not matter. You need to land on where you're going. Even the flight, when the flight has left the airport, we don't talk about that. Let's see if it will reach where we are going. So we are now looking at London. The plane has left Nairobi, is going to London. Is the plane going to land fairly well in London? That is when we are talking about 2029, 2030. Because initially, we are realizing that there was a problem. Because the Matiang and Magoa, they were doing what we call implementation without piloting. Because piloting is to start. Then you come to implementation after review. So what they did, they left one stage. And when you have left one stage, in a train rail, you see that there's a danger of that train either to go down and fall. So that is why we are saying, now let us give it a good will. Because at that time when we were telling them what to do, they were not getting us clear. And then this mistake was because, remember, 844, there was a commission. Right. Gachadi Commission. Then the Davy Commission, which was given the task by Moi to see, to carry out the survey and review over this one. But according to Mago and Matiang, the piloting was made to call implementation. And we don't blame them because they did not know. They were not trained professional teachers to do this one. I get this is a difference. Because even Magoa himself is not a trained teacher. He's a doctor by himself. So he's implementing education and he does not understand the stages of education per se. So when we saw that, we just criticized. We told them to improve this and improve this. And if you are advising somebody, my brother, you don't force him. He takes the advice or not take the advice. So that's the way you're saying, let's go up to 2029. 2030, we are going to see the end product and see whether it is an aborted child or it's a real birth.
Mwalimu, for instance, we get to 2029,
yes,
like you're mentioning here,
yeah,
and we get the end product to be so bad.
Yes.
And we now start saying we would have done these things would have been different. Do you want us to get there?
That is, after 10 years, education philosophy says that we can again change the curriculum. This curriculum will be changed during your generation, maybe even 5 times, my brother. Yeah, education knows statistics. Because me, I was in the same system. Now this is going to be the 4th time where education system is changing when I'm still alive. So you will see changes in curriculum because you will adapt the best practice. Like now we are talking about this curriculum we are doing, which model? It's called hybrid model.
Right.
It is not a model that has come from Canada like the 844. I asked the Minister of Education by that time, Matiang at GTI, asked him, which education model are you giving this Kenyan government? Which education model? They were not good. I thought they would borrow Singapore model, or go to Turkey model, or go to Malaysia model, or go to American model, or Britain model. But they made their own. They say these are domestic ones. So this is a model which is an experiment, just the Constitution of Kenya. Right. You know, our Constitution of Kenya is different from Tanzania. It's a different constitution, a new one of its own kind in Africa and the world. Even this curriculum we have is a new one of its own kind in Africa and the world. So we cannot say this is a system of Tanzania or Uganda. Right. So what we do is to nurture this our baby, see the end product. If we find that there are some gaps, then those people will be there, will design another one. Remember during Moi 844, there were several commissions. The only thing that we realized that initially after doing assessment and then having a plan,
right,
we were supposed to have, the government was supposed to have a commission, an independent commission, like Community Commission, Gachazi Commission, Levy Commission. Because the person who was advising the government did not give them that. They did not want somebody to come and do their own, to follow them. Because a commission will streamline everything. But you see, this was, if it was Matiang'i, that was his philosophy, with his psychology. And nobody will now tell him. Even when you removed Matiang'i and brought Ambassador Amina, he realized there was a problem. He said, no, let us stop this thing. He told the government. And what happened? People gang up within the cabinet and remove to means of sport. Right. Then we brought Matiang'i, Magoha, who feels that he is everything. He's a member of the lawgiver. He decided to implement, to follow the nyaya of Matiang'i. We must push it because they could not go back. So now at this point, they failed to have a commission. Then later on, in between 2 years, 1 year and a half, the president brought up Fatuma as a PS to midwife this curriculum. And that is why Fatuma has come up with these gaps. There is an attack force recommendation, which we told them, who was this? You cannot be the minister, the PS, and you do this. We told even Juan, you cannot be yourself. There must be a body trying to do this where we can talk to, a neutral body. If we had a neutral body like education commission, led by somebody, our shout, our noise would have been captured. Right. And they would have realized that what are we saying? There's a gap in assessment, planning, piloting, implementing, evaluation and monitoring and review. So these stages, they would have followed all of them. But because somebody you are talking to and did not understand that, he did not understand education philosophy and psychology, then this is why we have this problem. But now we cannot come and say, kill this child, like Anna in the Bible. Right. That's why we are saying, let us address this gap. One gap that we have realized, that there are 37,000 classrooms needed. When you put that one, I calculated that's about 4.4 billion. We have said that there's need for teachers, 330,000 teachers will be employed, which we have calculated. I have seen that it's about going to be about cumulative about 55 billion. We have said there are desks needed because we are talking about 2.5 million extra. We need 2.5 desks. We multiply that one, we got about 4 billion. Then we say, let's look at the textbooks. Let's look at the exercise books. Let us look at capitation. Right. Then we are saying, when you are bringing a new curriculum, you must motivate the working force.
Very true.
Even in Argentina, even in Malaysia, they are saying, this teacher who's doing this, let us do it. Now if you're giving children, 100 children in a classroom, and you're bringing competence-based, where the teacher is supposed to write everything, a clerical officer. In Britain, the teacher has got what we call a teacher assistant, where I teach, but there's somebody who is helping me to record those ones. They did not put those caps. You remember the government in this system, they are now implementing 3 products. 100% transition in the system, competence-based curriculum, free and compulsory education. All these are impetus that are going together. And they need massive, a lot of money, massive money. In fact, I was making an estimation that the Kenya government need about 1.5 trillion to make sure that they have effective and efficient learning practices in Kenya.
Right. All that, Mwalimu. When we come back, I'm due to take a short break here.
Yeah.
When I come back, in all this pull and push around the CBC, now that it's been said to be a nightmare, where does it leave the parents? The parents are lamenting that it's quite expensive. Is it true or is it expensive? And talking about the different problems that are faced by this CBC in our schools, the likes of the desks and the schools, the classrooms,
the chairs,
what have you. We'll be coming to discuss that in our last part of the show. Remember, whatever we are discussing today, we are trying to dissect the CBC, that is the competency-based curriculum. And you'll agree with me, it's quite a conversation that we need to have, simply because upon its inception, according to Mwalimu here 5 years ago, there was kind of a cool process at which it undertook. But currently, there has been talks about it being not effective enough, being expensive and what have you, and we are right here to shed some bit of light concerning this, so that you as a parent out there, you as a student or a stakeholder in education may have some bit of know-how concerning this competency-based curriculum. Remember, as we move along with the show, we'd like to get to hear what you have to say as well. Share your comments, share your feedback. What are your questions to Mwalimu here at the KNUT SG Kilindini branch? You'll be answering some as we get along with the program. But now, allow me to take my second breather. When I come back, we'll be finishing up on that same topic. Don't go too far.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes. Utakubaliana nami kuwa wapenzi ambao hawajafanikiwa kubarikiwa na watoto huhangaika mno kabla ya kupata suluhu. Bisara na Sieku kutoka hapa Kenya na Hens kutoka Ujerumani wanatuelezea jinsi walivyonasuliwa bila panda shuka na mapito mengi.
Tulipokutana mara kwanza, yeye alikuwa anataka mtoto na pia mimi nilikuwa nataka kwa fight like 1 year. Hatukufanikiwa. Akaniambia the best way tuende kwa daktari tukaangaliwe. Tukakaa kuangalia tuenda wapi, tukapata tukaambiwa tuende Makini.
I come from Germany, near Frankfurt. I'm very happy to stay here on this place, in Makini Clinic. My body is full with energy since I have the baby. I must say thank you to the doctors for Makini. And I will do the best for the life, for Sarah, my wife, and for my daughter, Hannah.
Walikuja hapo wakiwa na matatizo ya kupata mtoto. Mama alikuwa na matatizo ya hormone imbalance. Na baada ya kupata matibabu ya hapa Makini Clinic, Mwenyezi Mungu amejalia na wameweza kupata baby girl, ndio huyu, very beautiful, very healthy. Tunamshukuru sana Mwenyezi Mungu kwa miujiza yake.
Makini Hubs Clinic, tumaini la afya yako.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Don't tell me you're scared. There's nothing safer than a dark alley.
Ah! What? Really? A con, baby?
But the mayor wants to destroy everything. I got bigger plants and trees. And amusement! The way to get through to you is with this. Have a dumpling. Oh, got it.
My name is Mr. Fang. I was cursed with these big, adorable eyes. And this fussy little about you.
You know Raphael, and Raphael knows everyone.
Who said that?
We really need your help.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not like the best dragon.
Now, if something goes wrong, scream really loud.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Wala sehemu kiraka. Jamani, madege mengi mpaka hili nalo dege. Kumbe dege. Dege tena dege lisoliwa.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Getting along with our discussion this morning on matters about the CBC, particularly the different questions and queries that have been raised in conjunction with its effectiveness. That is what we're discussing together with Mwalimu right here in studio. I'm talking to Mr. DAN ALOO, who is the KNUT SG Kilindini branch. Members, we proceed with the discussion. We'd like to hear what you have to say concerning this as well, particularly those parents who are out there. This is much of interest to you, so it will be so wise if you get to talk to us. What do you think about this as well? Mwalimu?
Yes.
CBC, it's expensive. This is according to the parents. You're a parent out there. Yeah. Is it so, from your own point of view?
It is true. It's very expensive because initially the promise was that we are going to reduce the number of lessons, the number of teaching subjects, but we have seen that now instead of 5, it is 15. And we have seen, you know, people are only focusing in primary and secondary. Secondary, they have not reached. This crime will be bigger than what it is. In fact, in the ECD center, there's also a problem. Because there are some areas that there are no ECD centers. So people will be leaving, they will not go to PP1, they will not go to PP2, they will go to grade 1. There will be a bigger problem there. When you go to secondary, that is the junior secondary high school, they will also be having a problem. Remember that when we are teaching the CBC, we are also teaching the 844.
Right.
So this will go, remember the child who is going to class 5 today, and the child who is in class 6. The child who is in class 5 will be in class 6 next year.
Right.
And in 2023, this child will be going to junior high school. Will leave a class 7, the child who is in class 6 will be in class 7. When this child is going to be junior school 2, this one will be now in class 8. Remember, this person will be delaying. So you'll have 2 children, a younger son who is in the higher school and a senior child who still is in primary. That's another problem. When you will go to high school, junior school, you will find that the same teachers will be teaching, they'll be teaching CPC and they'll be teaching 844 for a period of time. So the challenges will still be enormous.
Right.
In terms of cost, we have read that parents are buying
textbooks.
Right. They are buying exercise books, they are buying pencils, they are buying ink and the rest, even the painters. So the parents have talked. They have said we have a problem. We are buying so many books, 30 books. We are buying textbooks, which initially we were being told this CPC will reduce the cost. It will reduce the burden of a child carrying a huge bag. Now the bag has been doubled. So, a lot of complaints.
I want you to listen to this paragraph on page 14 of the Standard that talks about the nightmare and the CBC nightmare giving parents sleepless nights. And
even teachers, not only parents.
Yeah, we'll be coming to teachers, particularly during the time at which we are discussing the training part. And it says here, it is quite a struggle keeping up with the new curriculum. There are many textbooks required. The system should be made affordable given the hard economic times parents are undergoing currently. How can the government now, Mwalimu, the fact that it's expensive, parents are buying textbooks, exercise books, how can the government make sure that it's quite affordable?
Number one, you see, CPC was supposed to have what we call universal education system under the Basic Act. Buying was not supposed to be an item, because these children are supposed to be public school. So when we are talking buying, we are expecting that in public school, the government is supposed to provide them with everything. Every pencil, rubber, books, exercise books, and the rest. That is that's the initial of free and compulsory education. Under the Education Act of 2015. The parent must demand from the government to implement that one.
Out there, it's not happening.
But you see, when we talk about buying, some of them are in private school. So we have 2 categories, public and private. Those who are private, we believe that the rich people who can afford. Those who have gone to public school, those are the people called with the needy ones that the government is supposed to cushion. We do not want to hear that they are buying something. So this complaint of buying, we know it is a private school per se.
Right.
But we are saying that the government must also regulate how many books, because when you go to a school, you hear 30 books, 50 exercise books, 50 pens, 50 rubbers. So those are things we should say no. The government should also condense those books so that instead of having 15, let us have 5. That's what we did. Why should you have so many in primary and ECD centers? You know, even the ECD centers are not talking. The children, the parents in the ECD, they are also facing a bigger challenge.
A bigger one.
And nobody is talking to them. Even the ECD is a county problem. And the government did not send money to them. They are not given competition by the government. And these are children. And when you look at the chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, it's very explicit that every child is equal before God and before the government. So if you are giving competition in the primary, give to ECD, give to special education. In fact, we are only talking about this. We have not talked about the same school, where even the curriculum was not developed until we made noise. Even today, mental curriculum will still have an issue. So we must talk about that one. Autism curriculum is still a problem. And we have not seen those centers. There are some areas where there are no special schools completely.
Right.
And what?
We know Mwalimu, there is a body that, of course, handles matters about the parents. There's an association that talks about issues of parents. Do you feel you are much involved into the creation of the CBC? Like, no?
Those people are both. Because first, when we were telling them as professionals, they did not listen to us. Mayo was taken to the task force immediately before even NUT and KUPPET. And he was talking as if he was an education expert. And when we were telling that you are going to have a problem, now all this problem is because of the parent association. Right. If they would have listened to the professionals, they would have saved the parents. But they were in errors. Once they were given money and they were given a task force to sit and they were earning sitting allowance, they forgot the parents. And that's why we say the professional organization must be inbuilt within the unions to regulate them, to help them.
Right.
Because there are things they do not understand. The fact that you are a parent does not mean you are an expert in education. Yes. And you see, when you are doing education per se, the composition, they were bringing herbalists, they were bringing, look, if we are now have a journalist organization, you can't bring teachers in the journalist organization. You can't bring a pastor in the journalist organization. You can't bring a doctor in that one. Even a doctor, organized professional body, you will not get the, but now the government was mobilizing people to outreach the professionals. So you find you are 3 professionals against 9 unprofessionals. So when you tell them this problem, they will not listen until they see it practical. Now they are getting the feedback from their people.
Right.
Because when you were saying there's a problem, when KUPPET was saying there's a problem, that was saying there's a problem, they were saying there's no problem. We were telling them there's no commission, they were not listening. We told them there were no task force, they were implementing them from a sitting chair. Without a commission, without a task force. Now they are the main product. So this complaint that people cannot pronounce word, books are very expensive,
In fact, there was a time
pilot was not done.
They did a comparison between the books and there was some bit of errors also being seen.
Yeah. Even the errors, when we told them, they were not accepting. They were denying. My brother, we told them there's a problem. Even the book's publication was not supposed to be one monopoly. We were supposed to have diversity in these books to compare.
Right.
But they refuse because people are looking at interest. Yeah.
How do we get to solve all these shenanigans, if I may use that word, Mwalimu?
Number one, let them now capture the interest, the complaint from parents. Because from the learners also, because parents are talking on behalf of the learners. You see that a parent, this is an educated parent. Look, talk about my grandmother who was bringing me up, who could not know how to read and write. If you give this task to perform, what will it be? It means that the rich will still have an upper hand.
Right.
Elites in this community, in this country, will still have an upper hand against versus the poor and illiterate people. So these were not going to be a unifying factor. So that's why we are saying, let us put an education such that the teacher can help more than a parent. Because if you rely on a parent, their parents have diversity. Their parents who are disabled, their parents who are illiterate, their parents who never went to school those times, their parents who are so busy, who are working 24 hours like the AP said, when will they come to help this learner? So let's design a system where the evaluation test or exam should not be that it is a parent teller. Because it is the parent who is doing that exam, not the learner.
Not the learner.
And the learner that have a parent who is not learning will still be behind. So let us give instruction which is unifying instruction. Let's adapt a tool that will be favorable to both learners at their home environment. But don't put an environment where a learned parent is having an upper hand over that. The learner who is rich, who has a parent who has a computer, will be having an upper hand than the parent who is not having a computer. We are talking about the children in Turkana, West Pokot, Marsabit, Moyale, and the rest, where they don't have those facilities. So we are still bringing a neo-colonialism system, where the people, Africans, were left behind. And now we are now balkanizing some areas behind.
Right.
So still we still have a problem.
A very big one.
That's why we shall be having some cattle rustlers continue in other places. Because civility is not universal. Yes.
Very true. Right. Schools still struggling to adapt to the new system due to inadequacy of infrastructure and teachers, Mwalimu. These are some of the pertinent issues.
You know, a school is not a go down, my brother.
Right.
A school is not a go down. Where you put sacks there and they sleep there. A school need an effective, number one, there must be teachers. Substantial, adequate teachers there. Number two, there must be space, adequate space. The classroom should not be 100. Classroom as a standard, international standard. Primary, 35. Secondary, 25. Now, we are talking about primaries, 100. 100 with one teacher. In Britain, you have 10 children, one teacher plus assistant. Because now they have introduced a clerical aspect of learning, where the teacher is a clerical. He has a booklet to fill for 100 learners. So teaching is no longer a professional or whatever we are saying. Teaching is becoming a clerical work, where the teacher records. There is no internet facility or whatever. So we are saying the 37,000 classrooms needed, build them. That's
impossible.
The 2.5 million needed, give them desks. Bring teachers, 330 teachers, 1,000 teachers needed again. Because you don't have one.
Mwalimu, before even we came about with the CBC, don't you think that we could have sorted these issues before we even come up with the CBC thing? Which one could have come first?
Let's not forget, let's not talk about the past. Because we guided at the time, at the initial stage, what was supposed to be done. But remember, the train left the station.
Right.
Magoa and Matian. Now, let's help them to midwife this child. Because if we are talking about that, it means we should stop this one. And if this was stopped in Malaysia, it was stopped in Tanzania, it was stopped in South Africa, it was stopped in Malawi. When people realized it is not possible. Because I was telling them at GTI 3 years ago, give us the budget for this one. Had made an estimate of 1.1 trillion. And we were asking them, where will you get this kind of money? Because even the 844 was midwifed by the Canadian government. They were giving cost sharing. They gave money in fact of books, in terms of training. These people, this was a Kenyan-made system of education, theory, with the people who did not have the impetus of philosophy and psychology and administration per se. Now they have brought Kenya to this level. So there are only two ways: somebody go to court to stop it,
right,
or we help them to midwife this, so that we agree how do we introduce, how do we modify the tool of evaluation, how do we make assessment. In this, but see now, they were supposed, by the time they were introduced this system, they were supposed to start what's called reorganization of colleges. Colleges were supposed to train. By the time they were going to PP1, the ECD centers had trained. They were supposed to have trained the ECD teachers for that, so that when they go to PP1, the new teachers, not the old teachers,
the new teachers,
the old teachers continue with us, the old system.
Right.
The new one comes with this one. When they were going to grade 1, already the bunch of teachers from colleges would have reached in the school to implement this. What they did, they frozen the employment of teachers, they frozen the training of teachers, even at the university. Even right now, when you're talking at the university, there's no university per se today who's going to produce a product which is going to be used in 2023, 2024 in secondary school. By now, the graduates were supposed to be trained on that one, so that by the time they are coming, when these were coming in junior school, tayari you have new graduates with new impetus, with new skills and competence-based curriculum. Now, we are using the same people. And you know, scientists, people are saying, you cannot teach an old dog a new trick. That is a philosophy which has been said. So, we are saying you have messed this one, but let us help you to sort out, to midwife this one gradually. Because Rome was not built a day, we help them. And they should be able to listen to us. Because some of them did not know this, what we are talking about. They don't know. When we talk about comparative education to Magoa, he doesn't listen. He doesn't understand that. He understands comparative medical practices. When you talk to these people, when you talk to Juan, people who came to ICD, from there, I didn't hear him teaching. So when we are telling them as the person on the ground, they should listen. Look at this.
Mwalimu, as we wrap up the show, last but not least, There is this thing that we see here. Teachers have been trained on the CBC thing just for a week or 2 or 3.
But don't misuse the word. You know, you are an English student. Don't talk about training. You know, training means in education act, in education policy and comparative education, training is that when you go in a residential institution or you go to a learning institution and you are systematically training for a minimum of 3 months minimum. So when you call people, that's a workshop, that's a seminar. Just like you are being called when the political forum you are being called as a media practitioner.
Right.
You are called. We want to talk about politics, dynamics, and the rest. Then you come sit in White House Hotel, or you sit in Pride Inn Hotel or Mombasa Beach. You sit there for 3 hours. You are given a tea break. Unatoka unakula lunch. Saa 10 unakula chai, alafu unaenda nyumbani. That is called an inset. That is a seminar or workshop. It cannot be talking per se training.
Is it enough? That's
not enough.
Is it enough?
That is not enough. You don't call it training. It's called seminar, insight. Call it that way. It cannot be a training. Because a training, you must have a certificate of completion. Ask them which certificate have they given this guy. So you go and sit there, boy. And you know sometimes you are forced. You can't force a cow to drink water.
True.
So you take him there, he knows you are joking with him because you are telling him, you are giving him a story that he doesn't listen to.
Right.
Even the scheme of service, the scheme of work, the lesson plan design, where has it been made? There was a college system. So what they are doing here, this is a seminar or a workshop.
Is it helpful, Mwalimu?
If it is helpful, wait for the product in 2029.
Right.
But at the moment, that is called precautionary measures to help them. We are telling teachers, just go, let's do our part. But that is not the essence of it.
Right.
If we were to listen to each other by that time, we were starting when we were designing this design. We are designing for colleges, for universities, technical institutes, TVET, everywhere. And do research. Ask which college is training by now. Ask TVET if they have the new modern. Go to special institution. Ask them. Go everywhere. So some of them will run away when the new government come in. These people like Macau, they'll run away. They'll go away. You will hear them. They're lecturing in Harvard.
Mwalimu, I want you to talk to the parents in a minute as we wrap it up now here. You know, parents are going through a lot. Talk about the hard economic times, the issue of CBC. What can you tell them?
My fellow parents, I sympathize with you. I know the problem you are facing, and we are all facing the same problem. But we must accept that we are Kenyans. We do adapt the Kenyan way. Let's move on. But we want parents who are proactive. The parents have time, they can go to court to challenge this curriculum so that we structure it. They can allow and adapt so that we midwife it, allow us to midwife this curriculum until we go to the end product. Then we shall have the evaluation, then we shall see what to do. But in the future, let's not allow any government to change a curriculum without involving the serious stakeholders. Serious stakeholders.
Serious, all right.
Professional organization. Their impetus must be put in place. Their advice must be taken into consideration. We would have not been this level. Otherwise, I'm happy that the task force has given a report. We want that report to be available to the media. They should launch it to the media and give the booklet. They should give us the booklet to read those gaps. And if there are need for us to correct. And if we cannot, we stop it. South Africa was stopped, Malaysia was stopped, Malawi was stopped, Tanzania was stopped, and we start again afresh.
Right. There is room to start it over again.
Yeah, Rome was not lost.
Definitely, those are the words of my guest, Mr. Dan ALOO here, particularly mentioning and speaking about the CBC. That is the competency-based curriculum. That is the 2633 curriculum that replaced the 37-year-old 844 system. Of course, he's from a branch that is Kilindini branch, KNUT SG, Kilindini branch, a body that they have been so vocal in matters about the education, particularly during this time at which there was the introduction of the CBC, saying that there is some bit of things that need to be ironed out. And I do believe from there and from whatever part you've watched us from, you now understand what are some of the few things that need to be shaped up as we also seek to make sure that the CBC enrollment and implementation is effective enough to try and help the learners, as well as also help the parents who are also part and parcel of the stakeholders in the education. But we leave it up there. If you so wish also to catch whatever we are discussing this morning, you can check us through our YouTube channel as well as our website link. But on behalf of everyone who made this program a success, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, particularly for those who have watched us, those who have had to engage with us. We'd like to say thank you. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time. But remember also to stay put on Boss TV, because we have so much lined up for you to make sure that you get educated, entertained, informed, and whatever it is. Goodbye. Let's meet tomorrow. Wow.
Thank you.